Talk to me about this issue because it's obviously confusing. It's a tax issue that's confusing a lot of people.
Yeah, normally when we talk, Ted, we're talking about local property taxes. But today we've got a little bit different discussion. It's federal income taxes kind of with a local flair.
And this is because of the what's caused this?
It's the tax bill, the Tax Cut and Jobs Act that was recently signed into law, capped the state and local tax exemption, and that created a bit of a panic in the last couple of weeks. A lot of folks came into localities, including Stafford, to try and prepay their taxes, because now the amount that you can write off on your federal income taxes has been capped at $10,000. So if you're in a high tax state, or you own an expensive home, or have a high income, even in Virginia, chances are that you're going to be capped out at what you can write off on your income taxes.
So so people came in and tried to prepay, and in Stafford anyway, that it's impossible, I guess.
Yeah, it was a kind of a media frenzy that started, where there were a lot of DC stations that were telling folks, hey, go prepay your taxes so you can write that off. And it really boils down to a lack of understanding or confusion on what that state and local tax exemption really is. I think a lot of folks thought it was a standalone exemption, where if you cap it, then that means you're taking away dollar for dollar a deduction from me, but that's not entirely the case. The state and local tax exemption, you can see here, it's part of your itemized deductions. Now, just to put it in perspective, only 33% of Americans utilize itemized deductions. And it's usually your higher income folks that do that. The other 77% use a standard deduction. So they never even use this form. So a lot of folks that were trying to prepay, the cap didn't impact them, and they couldn't even have benefited from it. Because as you see here, the state and local income tax deduction is only one part of the itemized deduction form. You also have your mortgage interest here, your charitable gifts here, and you total all of that up. And for example, if you have $10,000 you're writing off here, and your mortgage is another 10, and you give $2,000 to charity, then you can write off $22,000 on your federal return.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to do that, though, you forego the standard deduction. Well, one of the things that the new law did is it doubled the standard deduction. So now the standard deduction, it went for a family, went from $12,000 to $24,000, which means a whole lot of people, of the 33% that did itemize, a whole bunch of them now won't have to, because the $24,000 they'll be able to get will be bigger than the number that they got from itemizing in the past. So even though this is being capped, it ultimately won't affect many people. In fact, I heard a statistic this weekend that this cap will only impact 1 in every 10 taxpayers. And again, it'll typically be your higher earners that it's going to impact.
So most of us who may have heard stories or misunderstood and worried about this, it's not going to affect us.
Yes, yeah. And taxes are so complicated, it's hard to pick one item out of an entire bill, because everything affects everything else. And I think that's what happened here. Yeah, this is just one piece of the itemized deductions, which again, in large part, will go away with the doubling of the standard deduction.
Now, there's a little bit of confusion locally, I guess, because Stafford and say the city collect taxes differently.
Yeah, there was a lot of confusion. We did have a lot of folks come in and try and prepay, and they couldn't. The IRS issued a ruling and said the only way you can prepay your 2018 taxes is if you have an assessment and a bill for those 2018 taxes. We don't in Stafford, because we tax on a calendar year. So you won't get a new assessment and a new bill until after January 1, 2018. The city's on a fiscal cycle. So residents in the city already have a tax bill for 2018, the first half of 2018, because that's in part of the current fiscal year. So they were able to prepay and take advantage of writing off those taxes in 2017. But here in Stafford, you weren't able to do that because we're on 2 different billing cycles.